Hello and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Zoya, and today we look at a speech by Salman Rushdie in our Great Speeches series. In February 1993, Rushdie addressed a gathering at King's College Chapel, Cambridge University, to mark the 4th anniversary of the fatwa issued against him following the publication of his controversial novel, The Satanic Verses, in September 1988. What led to the issuance of the fatwa? In 1989, Iranian leader Ayatollah Khomeini declared a death sentence on Rushdie, claiming that his novel blasphemized Islam. This fatwa triggered violent protests and attacks across the globe, resulting in multiple deaths, including that of Japanese translator Hitoshi Igarashi, who was murdered in 1991, and numerous threats against publishers and translators involved with the book. In his 1993 speech, Rushdie began by reflecting on his academic journey at Cambridge. He recounted how he first encountered the story of the so-called Satanic Verses during his final year while studying history. He had chosen to focus on the life of Prophet Muhammad, a subject so niche that it led to cancelled lectures due to a lack of students. But Rushdie was, and I quote, anxious to continue. He said, Arthur Hibbert, one of the King's history dons, agreed to supervise me. So as it happened, I was, I think, the only student in Cambridge who took the paper. The next year, I'm told, it was not offered again. This is the kind of thing that almost leads one to believe in the workings of a hidden hand. End quote. Rushdie explained that the story of the Satanic Verses is documented in classical Islamic writings, particularly by Al-Tabari. He described an incident where the prophet was tempted to accept verses endorsing pagan goddesses but later rejected them as a trick from Satan. He said, I felt the story humanized the prophet and therefore made him more accessible, more easily comprehensible to a modern reader, for whom the presence of a doubt in a human mind and human imperfections in a great man's personality can only make that mind, that personality, more attractive. End quote. He proactively likened Khomeini's fatwa to modern Satanic verses, stating that it represented a terrorist threat disguised as virtue. He said, it's important to remember what the fatwa is. One cannot properly call it a sentence since it far exceeds its author's jurisdiction, since it contravenes fundamental principles of Islamic law, and since it was issued without the faintest pretense of any legal process. Even Stalin thought it necessary to hold show trials. It is, in fact, a straightforward terrorist threat. End quote. Rushdie articulated how this atmosphere of fear has stifled free expression in the West, leading publishers to shy away from discussing Islam unless they do so reverently. The implications of the fatwa were even more dire in Eastern contexts. He shared harrowing examples of how writers and intellectuals defending him faced deadly consequences. He said, in January, in Turkey, an Iranian-trained hit squad assassinated the secular journalist Ugur Mumsu. Last year, in Egypt, fundamentalist assassins killed Farag Fauda, one of the country's leading secular thinkers. Today, in Iran, many of the brave writers and intellectuals who defended me are being threatened with death squads. End quote. Despite these challenges, Rushdie recalled a positive experience at a literary seminar in Cambridge, attended by scholars and writers from around the world, including many Muslims who expressed solidarity with him. One Saudi journalist remarked, You, Mr. Rushdie, are a free man. Rushdie said he was fully aware of the ironies of what he was saying. He meant that freedom of speech, freedom of the imagination, is that freedom which gives meaning to all the others. He could walk the streets, get his work published, lead an ordinary life, and did not feel free because there was so much he could not say, so much he hardly dared to think. I was protected by the special branch. He had to watch out for the thought police. End quote. As he continued his address, Rushdie emphasized that the battle for freedom of expression is not confined to Western societies, but is increasingly relevant in the Islamic world. He referenced Professor Fred Halliday, who noted that voices oppressed by fundamentalism are using Rushdie's case as a symbol of their struggle for rights and freedoms. Rushdie defended the Satanic Verses as, and I quote, a committedly secular text that deals in part with the material of religious faith. He said, For the religious fundamentalist, especially at present, the Islamic fundamentalist, the adjective secular is the dirtiest of dirty words. But here's a strange paradox. In my country of origin, India, it was the secular ideal of Nehru and Gandhi that protected the nation's large Muslim minority, and it is the decay of that ideal that leads directly to the bloody sectarian confrontations which the subcontinent is now witnessing. Confrontations that were long foretold and could have been avoided had not so many politicians chosen to fan the flames of religious hatred. End quote. As the Satanic Verses returns to bookstores in India following the Delhi High Court's order last month lifting the ban imposed by the Rajiv Gandhi government in October 1988, Rushdie's own admission on secularism holds an important ideal for us. Concluding his speech, he said, Indian Muslims have always known the importance of secularism. It is from that experience that my own secularism springs. In the past 4 years, my commitment to that ideal and to the ancillary principles of pluralism, skepticism, and tolerance has been doubled and redoubled. End quote. Thank you for listening. For more from The Print, become a subscriber at theprint.in/subscribe. I'm Zoya in Delhi. Tune in every day for more such insightful news and analysis.